morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, it's time we took a look at Grimmsnarl V. You see, just yesterday I showed you Grimmsnarl VMAX. I told you that we didn't really have a good enough look at Grimmsnarl V to make it worth doing a video on it. It would have been disingenuous to do so. But you see, overnight, the lovely folks over on the official Japanese website did give us an extremely clear image of Grimmsnarl V, and the lovely Antoine Boulet, one of our very favourites, has gone and given us a translation. So now we know exactly what it does and exactly how good it is. So let's have a gander, shall we? So starting off then with the basics, 220 HP is on the higher end of Pokemon V. It's up there with stuff like Zacian. Yeah, it's slightly lower than Zamazenta, but you know what? I'm kind of alright with that. This is fine by me. We've got a retreat cost of 2, which is, well, I'll be honest with you, it's Air Balloon, isn't it? Free retreat with Air Balloon. Could be worse, ladies and gentlemen. Could be worse. Weakness to grass really depends on Rillaboom decks, but given that Rillaboom is weak to Welder decks, and Welder decks are good and I think will continue to be good, that's not a weakness you need to worry too much about. And being a Darkness Pokemon is alright. Means you get tricks like Black Market Prism Star, so you only give up 1 prize rather than 2 when KO'd, and Weavile to move your energy around if you can accelerate it in any way whatsoever. And of course, it means you're hitting weakness on all Psychic Pokemon as of Sword and Shield, so things like in DDV, for instance. He gone, or she gone, depending on which form you're going into. So, not bad. We can live with this. But what does it do? Well, the first attack, 1 Darkness Energy, 40 damage is, underwhelming, if I'm honest with you. It's entirely underwhelming. It's not terrible. And look, the thing to remember is this is a basic Pokemon. So you're talking basic Pokemon, single energy. If you go second, this is a turn 1 attack. Brilliant. But what are you actually KOing here? That's the big question with an attack like this. What are you actually KOing? Because we saw a similar thing with Dragapult V. Dragapult V comes along with an attack, basic Pokemon, single energy, 30 damage. So, I mean, look, this has got 10 more HP and does 10 more damage. It's objectively better. But the thing is, when we looked at Dragapult, we were like, well, Malamar decks are really big right now, and you're getting a one-hit KO on Inkay. So we could kind of hang our hat on that. And we could look at it and go, well, the Mew from Unbroken Bond sees a lot of play for protecting your bench and will probably continue to do so we can hang our hat on that. What's Grimmsnarl getting? You are getting Ditto Prism Star, and Ditto Prism Star is a really good Pokemon that sees a lot of play and has 40 HP. But Ditto Prism Star was also in Lost Thunder. And when the next rotation hits, we're pretty gosh darn sure that we're going to be losing Ditto Prism Star. Oh. So that's that. And what relevant Pokemon have got 40 HP or less? I mean, Snom's got 50. So if you use the Vitality Band, you would get Snom. And you never know, Frostmoth decks might get good in the future. So there's that. But we are, we're kind of stretching a little bit here. Using a Vitality Band to get a one-hit KO on an evolving Pokemon for a deck which looks like it might be good, but probably isn't that good. It's not ideal, if I'm honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. It's really not ideal. So the first attack is fine, but it's more of a softening up kind of attack. You're not going to get that many KOs, but fingers crossed you might get 1 or 2. The main attack here, 3 Darkness Energy, 200 damage. Return 2 Darkness Energy from this Pokemon to your hand. Okay. The problem I'm finding here is that we've got the parallels going on with Charizard V and Charizard VMAX. And yesterday I told you that Grimmsnarl VMAX did a bit less than Charizard VMAX, and that could be an issue. Here, you're doing 20 less damage than Charizard V. The problem is that 20 damage goes from KOing a Zacian to not KOing a Zacian. You see, there are the odd Pokemon V out there, like the aforementioned Zamazenta, that's sitting there rocking 230, but even then, Charizard can use a Vitality Band to get a one-hit KO. The problem Grimmsnarl's got is that 200 damage is not enough. You're not getting these bigger Pokemon V. You'll get some, don't get me wrong, right? If you're up against a Morpeko V, brilliant. Morpeko V ain't got nothing. So that's lovely. But what about all the others? You know, something like a Stonejourner V. You're just not getting a one-hit KO on Stonejourner. 220, even with a Vitality Badge, you're 10 damage short. And sure, you can start mucking around with stuff like Roxy and then Wheezing, and Roxy draws you 3 cards for each of 2 Pokemon discarded from your hand. Wheezing, when discarded using Roxy, does 1 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. It's doable, but we're into awkward territory. And this is what we talk about quite a lot. There can be a very big difference between 20 damage. Like, the difference between 200 and 220 is huge, because there are so many Pokemon with 220 HP that are relevant right now. Whereas if this was the difference between 130 and 150, there really isn't a huge amount of difference between the two of them. Unfortunately, you're just falling a little bit short of some key numbers here. There are plenty of Pokemon you will get. The majority of GXs, stuff like Blacephalon, yes, you'll get them nicely. But even then, you'll be up against stuff like Naganadel, which is just going to be a tiny bit outside your damage range. And that's going to keep happening. That's my big issue. But there is another issue with this. In fact, there's another 2 issues. One of the issues is the attack cost. How you paying it? And we can go back to Pokemon like Mega Sableye and Tyranitar, and the answer is you've got Naganadel, which accelerates energy from the discard to itself, and then Weavile moves the energy around, and that can work. But the problem is you've got 2 other stage 1s, and it takes a couple of turns to get rolling, and if it was for a particularly good attack, we wouldn't care. Something like Mega Sableye and Tyranitar, it takes a couple of turns and a couple of stage 1s, but you do 210 damage and take an extra prize every time you take a KO. So it's worth the investment. Can we honestly sit here and say this is worth the investment? Some of the times, yes. Some of the times, no. When Charizard needs 1 extra energy but has access to Welder and is hitting key numbers, it makes me look at Grimmsnarl and go, are you really trying hard enough there, mate? And then you got to return 2 Darkness Energy to your hand. And the good news is it's in your hand. Yay! The bad news is how you're reattaching it. If you're a fire deck, using Welder, brilliant. If you're a water deck, you're using Frostmoth, brilliant. If you're a Grimmsnarl deck, you're a Darkness deck, we don't have ways to attach extra energy from our hand easily like we do for other typings. And what if your opponent tries to be a little bit cheeky and drops something like a Team Yell Grunt? So now you've got all 3 energy back in your hand. If you're playing Frostmoth, you don't care. If you're playing Grimmsnarl, you probably really do. And then we're left with this Pokemon that's just got a bunch of issues. The damage is just a little bit lower than we need to take some key KOs. The energy's not as easy to get on there as we like. And then you've got to put 2 energy back into your hand, which makes things a little bit more awkward. It's not a bad Pokemon. But do you really want to play this over something like Charizard V? Do you really want to play this over something like Zacian V? And if you want to play a Darkness deck, do you really want to play this over something like Mega Sableye and Tyranitar? Honestly, one of the Pokemon I really like from the upcoming Japanese sets is Malamar VMAX. Malamar VMAX for free energy does 180, but it then lets you choose a card from your opponent's hand and put it on the bottom of their deck. So okay, fine, it's the same energy cost, except there is 1 colourless, which makes it easier, and you do 20 less damage, but you get to take a random card from their hand and put it on the bottom of their deck, so you've got a brilliant combo here with Reset Stamp, and the roadmap is clear. Get them to 1 or 2 prizes remaining, drop a Reset Stamp, attack with Malamar, and unless they top deck out of it, as long as you can take out their main attacker, you're probably going to be in for a really nice comeback win. So when I look at Malamar VMAX, the roadmap is laid out, and I know how I'm winning with this. When I look at Grimmsnarl, I don't know how I'm winning with this. And to go back briefly to Grimmsnarl VMAX that we looked at in the video yesterday, we see some similar problems. It's 170 damage, plus 50 for each of up to 2 darkness energy attached to it, not used to pay for the cost. Which means 5 energy 270. Well, Charizard does 4 energy 300. And we've still got the problem of how we get the energy on there. And we're still missing some key KOs. Even then, with 5 energy on, you're 10 damage short of Arceus and Dialga and Palkia. And sure, you can use Vitality Band, but that's just adding in one more annoyance. Sometimes I don't mind using Vitality Band. Sometimes I look at it and go, come on. I'm already investing so much. Do I really want to add one more thing onto this? I'm giving Grimmsnarl V 3 Wassies. I don't think it's a terrible card. I think it's fine. But I also think that there are too many annoyances and there are too many other cards we can look at and go, no, you know what, I'd rather just be playing that, for me to really come along and recommend it wholeheartedly. So there we go. I'm not mad. I'm just a little bit disappointed. But I'd like to know how you feel, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are pretty gosh darn good regardless. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.